I want to talk about video games. Video games, for the longest time, were a large part of my life. From the age of 7, I was playing video games. I had the Nintendo Wii and the Nintendo DS growing up. I remember going into school, we had non-school uniform days, or pajama days actually, where we would all bring in our DSs and we'd sit together and we'd all play Mario Kart on the DS. And then every sleepover I went to, we'd bring the DSs out. And then I remember going from the DS to the 3DS and just all of the games on there as well. There were so many good games. It was such an important thing in my life because those stories and those experiences to me were such a fun time in my life. This, of course, continued later into my life. I also ended up getting a PlayStation, PS4, and most recently, I remember buying a Nintendo Switch back when that first came out. I think that was 2017. Now, I was heavily into playing games at this point in my life. I wouldn't know if I would have considered myself a gamer, as most people understand it, purely because I was always a console player rather than a PC player, which, if you know all about that, how PC versus console, all of that shit, which is fucking stupid. But because I didn't have a PC and I never played on that, I didn't consider myself that much of a gamer in comparison, because what I did was more casual, and it was more, I don't know, it was there was a different type of playing games, but that didn't change the fact that I still put an ungodly amount of time into the games I played. I've still got my Switch. It sticks around the house, but not how it was. Now, when I say I played a lot of games, understand this. The game Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which was the most recent in the Smash Bros. Games, which is a franchise that I really enjoyed. I have, according to the Nintendo Switch, over 560 hours of playtime. 560 hours. And that is amongst, let me just show you, let me just give you an idea of the sheer amount of games that I had on here. Quite a lot of games, as you can see. Quite a lot of games. That's not all. It's not just those. It's all of them. That's 84 games. Granted, I didn't play them all the same amount. Some of them I had less than an hour because I didn't really enjoy them, but the majority of them I had at least several hours in. In one game, I'm using the Smash Brothers as an example, but one game alone, I spent over 23 days worth of time. And that's 23 days as in 24-hour segments. So let's say I spent 12 hours a day playing the game. That doubles it. That's 46 days playing one game. And at the time, when I was playing them, I didn't see it as that big of an issue. I thought I was better than most people, and I'm sure I probably was. But one day that all changed. My perspective on video games changed forever, and it has never been the same. As I started my journey on self-improvement, I looked into video games as to why that was seen as such a negative thing in that community, and I began to discover how video games manipulate their players. They create, in a lot of games, this isn't true for all of them, but in most games, there is a sense of progression that takes place as you play. The longer you play, the better you become. Which is just a way of tricking your dopamine system into thinking that you, as a person, are progressing in life. But you're not. You're progressing in a digital life. You're progressing in a life that doesn't matter because it's not real. It's the sort of thing that you'd see in a dystopian sort of fantasy where people are whisked away to this world that isn't real, where they think that that's what matters, not the real world that we actually live in. They put this other world above the real one. And it's the sense of dopamine that we get as we play, the sense that we're doing things, we're succeeding in life. In video games, you're defeating enemies and growing stronger. And you're enjoying it because that's what you want to do in real life. That's what your brain thinks is really happening, because the brain is a bit stupid like that. You witness the progression of your character in the game and you project yourself onto that character. So when your character levels up, you think of yourself as having leveled up. You think of yourself as have gained more skill, but you haven't. You've just been playing the game for longer. For me, this all came to a head, and I can find the exact date that it happened. On the 10th of September 2022, that's the day that I stopped playing video games. I had very recently, in fact, I had pre-ordered a new game. It was Splatoon 3, which was the sequel to Splatoon 2, again, that I had many hours in and thoroughly enjoyed. I'd pre-ordered the third one. It arrived, and I played it for no more than 2 hours, and I felt nothing. This new perspective that I had just gained. I hadn't bought any games in a while. This was going to be the first one in quite a while that I had got. I spent £60 on this game. I played it for 2 hours, barely got through the training, and then I never touched it again. Something clicked with me that day. Something in my brain just made me step back and really look at it. How for years of my life, I've been putting these hours into something that truly, at the end of the day, means nothing. At the time, I was really enjoying this, but looking back on it, completely wasting my time. And time is so important. So the fact that I'd lost all of that time was just upsetting to me. I did not touch my Nintendo Switch from the 10th of September. I did not touch it until Christmas time. And that's because somebody wanted to play a game with me. It wasn't me playing a game by myself, it was family. I don't play games anymore. From that day, I have not played any games. The only exception for me was I got the sequel to the Zelda Breath of the Wild. It was called Tears of the Kingdom. You probably know what it is. Tears of the Kingdom came out. This was May, I want to say, of last year. I played that for a few hours. That was sort of a reward for me, having completed my time at university. But even then, it didn't last long because I didn't have the same perspective on playing games than I did before. Before, I could spend hours playing and enjoy it so much that I just wanted to keep going, because in my head I was like, oh, I'm progressing so much, there's so many things to do, I just want to do everything. But now, I'll be playing a game and I'll be checking my watch because I'm aware of how much time is passing in the real world, where I could be doing something else, something more, something that could actually be helpful for me. So many people spend their lives playing games. That's their life. And to some people, they could argue, but I'm gonna grow up, I'm gonna be a streamer, I'm gonna play video games, I'm gonna be on YouTube and playing video games. What are the real odds? Realistically, ask yourself, what are the odds that you're actually going to succeed in that? Because I'm guessing it's less than 1%. Probably more like 0.1%. Something like that. That is the likelihood that you are actually going to succeed in that. And who would want that anyway? Playing video games for your life when you could be doing anything. You're choosing to live a digital life in a digital world. Why not work on yourself instead? Why not level yourself up? Level up your brain, level up your body, level up anything in reality, not just pixels on a screen. The way I see it now, video games, I'm not outright shunning them. I'm just saying that solo play, when you're by yourself and you're pouring hours into a game, you could be doing so much more. So much more. The only games that I have been playing since that date in 2022 are multiplayer, local co-op games. And even then, it's not been many. So it's Mario Kart, it's Just Dance. It's games that you can play and it's more of a bonding time. It's more... The purpose of it isn't for you to progress yourself, it's for you to have fun with your friends. And I'm sure a lot of people try and cope and say, oh, but I only played this game with my friend. We always play online on There's a difference between hopping on Discord every night and playing the same game with your mates over and over and over again. And then every once in a while, you and someone in person come together and you decide, hey, let's play a fun game. There's a massive difference between those two things. I'm sure there's a lot more that I could say about the subject because for years it dominated my life. For years it was a massive element of how I lived, was thinking, when am I next going to play a video game? I don't want the same thing for you. I don't want the same thing for you because thinking about the amount of people who spend tens of hours playing games when they could be doing anything else is really upsetting. You could actually be reaching your true potential, but you're deciding to sit on your crusty gaming chair, mouth breathing as you watch pixels dancing around, making your dopamine spike for no reason, ruining your dopamine, creating a false sense of progression in your life, wasting your time. Figure out what you really want to do with your life. Stop committing so much time to games. Don't do what I did. Realize it sooner. And then make the most of your time. If you enjoy this kind of content, let me know, subscribe. And maybe I'll do another one of these at some point. Maybe I can go more in depth into more specific elements about video games, but this was just a general thing I've been meaning to make a video about for a while, so there we go. I will see you guys later.